Hey all, welcome to the Institute and this week's Top 10. Now today is President's Day, so it seemed appropriate that we do a Top 10 President action figures. I had actually a couple I could have included, like down here. Let's see, we'll zoom in down there. That would be Kang Dole when he was running for president in the Treehouse of Horror episode. So technically he was running for president. Another one that I could have included but didn't in my top 10 was good old Sam the Eagle. Remember, he was always running for something. Here he is with his lectern telling you how he should be president of the United States. But I didn't include him either. No, I stuck more with presidential figures. Didn't mean they were actually presidents, as you'll see. But presidential figures, we're going to start with a very big group of them. The Marx President set. Now, Marx made these little plastic figures of all the presidents up until about, I think the last one you could have gotten was a Reagan. This ends at Nixon because this set was in my elementary class when I was a kid. My teacher's name was Mrs. McKeel, and I used to play with this set constantly. You can see it has all the presidents here. I have always loved action figures my entire life, and I would play with this thing constantly, and she remembered that. So years later, when she retired, she gifted this to me, and I have kept it ever since. So it means quite a bit to me. And there are a whole bunch of presidents in one set. It's my number 10 on the list. Number 9, some of these figures are better than others. They're all presidential, but some of the figures are, well, okay. This one is an interesting one because it's a prototype. So it's up here on the top shelf. You see he's behind the, let's zoom in here. He is behind the Spawn figure there. That is George W. Bush. He's got his cartoony head. This figure was made with 2 heads, one more cartoony and one more serious. I've got both of them. This is a prototype. It's a talking figure. You can see the packaging is actually prototype packaging. And on the front, that's a series of instructions that were placed on there to go back to the manufacturer in China with what to do next. I thought that was a pretty cool figure. The next two, well, like I said, some of these are good figures, some of these are not. The next two are great presidents, but terrible figures. Over there on the right, we have John F. Kennedy, a terrible figure from G.I. Joe. This is 90s G.I. Joe style, but they did a number of presidents in the G.I. Joe line. He gets number 8, and right next to him gets number 7, Teddy Roosevelt. Really, the only reason I have these two up here, at the time I put them up there because you'll notice I don't have anything else. We're in the Western history section here, and I thought they were a good choice to go there. And although they're really pretty terrible figures, they are both presidential. Next up is a much funner figure, more fun. Richard Nixon as the creature from the Black Lagoon. Now, these were figures that were done by a company that were called Presidential Monsters. And I thought their choice of using Nixon as the creature character was hilarious. They're Amigo style, and I just thought it was hilarious. So he gets number 6. Number 5 is the only one on my list that technically isn't a president. He only played a president on TV. You remember him from 24? Or maybe you remember him from Selling You Insurance? Either way, I believe this was Enterbay that did these back in the day a long time ago. It was either Enterbay or Blitzway, but I think it was Enterbay. You can see Jack's next to him there, protecting him. And he gets number 5 on the list. It's a pretty good figure. These bodies tend to be brittle, so you can have trouble with that over time. Sideshow did a whole bunch of historical Western and military figures. In that set here, we have a president who's not quite a president at this point, Ulysses S. Grant. So here is Grant kicking Lee's ass, smoking a cigar while he's doing it. Sideshow did a nice job with all these Civil War figures. They did figures for a number of other periods as well. But this is a really well done Grant. In fact, they also did this one, number 3 on the list. George Washington, our first president. Again, this is some really nice work by Sideshow. You can see I've got him next to a couple of troops, one from the British, one from the Americans. But this is a really well done George Washington. I never really felt the need that I would ever have to have another. That's always saying something. Another tremendously popular president is Abe Lincoln. Sideshow did him as well. Here he is rallying the troops, holding his hat there, rallying his soldiers. As you can see, this is the Civil War shelf. And Abe gets number 2. The number 1 spot was from a company called Drastic Plastic long before Hot Toys came along. They were really pushing the limits on what you could do in 6 scale, and they did a beautiful job with this Franklin Delano Roosevelt. FDR here in his wheelchair. He even has a little ashtray on the side of the wheelchair. The costume is really nice for the period. They also did a Custer that I have. It's really well done. So he gets number 1, easily. So there you have my top 10 presidents. I bet you've got some presidential action figures in your collection. Let me know what they are. Make sure you subscribe. And on Wednesday, we'll do another favorite collection here at the Institute. Have a great week.